People think focus is just concentration, but real focus is a shield. It doesn't just help you study, it protects your heart from noise, from judgment, from the sharp voices that try to cut your confidence. This is the story of a boy who was kind, hardworking, and full of dreams. Yet one failure made the world laugh at him. He wanted to disappear, but one evening, beside a silent stream, a wise guide gave him 3 simple challenges, so small they looked meaningless, until they changed him forever. Because when your mind becomes focused, even the loudest negativity becomes a distant echo. Stay till the end. This lesson can change the way you live. There was a small village resting between wide green fields and gentle hills. In the mornings, sunlight fell like honey on the crops. In the evenings, the sky turned rose gold, and birds wrote quiet poems across it. In that village lived a boy named Samir. Samir was not famous for wealth. He was known for effort. Before sunrise, he would wake up while the village still slept. He helped his mother fetch water, clean the yard, and worked in the fields with hands that were too young for so much responsibility. Only after the work was done, he would sit with his books, sometimes under a window, sometimes under a small lamp that flickered like a tired star. Samir loved learning. He loved the feeling of understanding something difficult, as if his mind had found a doorway in a dark wall. Everyone believed he would do well in his final exams. They had seen his discipline. They had seen him study when others rested. They had seen his eyes, quiet, determined, burning with a dream. But life does not always reward effort immediately. When the exam results arrived, Samir's hands trembled as he opened the paper. He had failed one subject, just one, but that single word, fail, felt like a storm inside his chest. He stood still, as if the world had frozen. The fields outside were green, the air was normal, birds still sang, but inside him something fell. And then came the village. The next morning, when Samir walked toward the fields, he heard whispers like dry leaves scraping the ground. Look at him. He thought he was special. All that studying, and still he failed. Smart boy? Where is the smart now? Their words were small, but they entered him like thorns. Samir kept his head down, but his heart was breaking loudly. At night, he tried to study again, but the letters danced. His mind kept replaying the laughter. He couldn't breathe properly. He wasn't only fighting failure anymore, he was fighting the noise of people. One evening, unable to hold it inside, Samir walked away from the village. He followed a narrow path where wild grass brushed his ankles. The sky was painted orange and violet, and the wind moved softly through trees like a gentle hand. He reached a quiet stream that curved through stones, shining with fading sunlight. Samir sat beside it, holding his head in his hands. "I worked so hard," he whispered to the water. I really tried. Why is this happening to me?" The stream answered with silence. Then a voice came, soft, calm, like a leaf landing on water. "Because you are listening to the wrong sound." Samir looked up. An old man stood nearby, leaning lightly on a wooden walking stick. His hair was silver, his face lined with time, and his eyes peaceful like a clear sky after rain. People in the village called him Ustad Harun, a retired teacher who now lived quietly near the hills. Samir swallowed. "Ustad, everyone is laughing at me. I can't take it." Ustad Harun sat on a rock beside the stream, as if he had all the time in the world. "Samir," he said gently, "when a storm happens, do the mountains argue with thunder?" Samir didn't answer. The old man continued, "Tonight I will not give you a lecture. I will give you 3 small challenges. Do them, and your mind will become stronger than noise." Samir's eyes filled with confusion and hope. The next morning, Ustad Harun brought Samir a small wooden bowl. He filled it with water until the surface trembled. Walk from here to your home and do not let the water spill." Samir blinked. "Just this?" The old man nodded. "Just this." Samir held the bowl with both hands and began walking. The village was awake now. Men stood near shops, women swept the ground, children ran around laughing, and of course, the whispers returned. Look at him, he thought he was special. Careful, he might fail at walking too. Samir felt heat rising to his face. His chest tightened. But then he looked at the water. It shimmered like a small mirror. One careless step and it would spill. So he slowed down. He watched his hands. He watched the bowl. His breath became quieter. For the first time in days, the village voices blurred. He reached his home. Not a single drop had fallen. He stood still, shocked not at the bowl, but at himself. When he returned to Ustad Harun, he said softly, "Ustad, I didn't hear them much today." Ustad Harun smiled. That's the beginning. Focus does not fight noise. It makes noise irrelevant. That evening, Ustad Harun sat with Samir under a tree. The sky was darkening. Crickets sang in the grass. He placed a book in Samir's hands. Read one page, but with a rule. Every line, one slow breath. No rushing, no panic. Samir tried. At first, his mind ran like a frightened animal. It wanted to jump to the end. It wanted to escape the discomfort. But breath by breath, the page became still. Words stopped shaking. Meaning returned. Samir felt something strange. A quiet space inside him. A place the villagers could not enter. Ustad Harun watched him and said, "Your mind is like a field, Samir. Whatever you water grows." Samir nodded. That night, for the first time, he studied without being chased by voices. On the third day, rain clouds gathered over the hills. The stream swelled slightly, carrying small leaves and foam. Ustad Harun led Samir to a large stone sitting in the middle of the flowing water. "Look," the old man said. The current pushed against the stone. Water hit it. Water rushed around it. But the stone remained. It doesn't react. It doesn't argue. It doesn't explain itself. Samir stared. People's words, the old man continued, are like water, sometimes gentle, sometimes harsh. If you keep reacting, you will live tired. But if you stay rooted, you will stay free. Samir's throat tightened. He finally understood what had been happening. His pain was not only from failure, it was from giving the village too much power. He whispered, "I was listening to them more than I was listening to my purpose." Ustad Harun nodded slowly. "And that is why you felt empty even when you tried." In that moment, Samir felt the lessons settle inside him like calm rain. Weeks passed. Samir still worked in the fields, but now his mind did not wander to whispers. He still heard people sometimes, but their words no longer lived inside his chest. He studied with a new kind of focus, steady, quiet, unshakable. When negative thoughts came, he returned to the bowl of water in his mind. When anxiety rose, he returned to one breath per line. When judgment tried to pull him down, he remembered the stone in the river. Slowly, his confidence returned. Not loud, not arrogant, but peaceful. And then exam day came again. Samir walked into the hall like a calm sunrise. No rushing, no fear, just purpose. When the results arrived, he passed. Not only passed, he improved beyond what even he expected. But the biggest victory was not the marks. The biggest victory was this. The village hadn't changed much, but Samir had, and that changed everything. Most people lose focus not because they are weak, but because they keep carrying the noise of others. If someone's words hurt you, if judgment distracts you, if failure makes you doubt yourself, remember Samir. Hold your bowl of water. Breathe through your page. Become the stone in the river. Because when you focus deeply on your goal, negativity becomes background blur. Now tell me in the comments, what is your bowl of water right now? Your goal, your dream, your purpose?
If this story helped you, like the video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to Life Lesson Chapters for more peaceful, life-changing stories. Your future will be built by what you choose to focus on, so choose wisely.